Right, the Bharatiya Janata Party has given out lists in all three states, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, at the back of the Election Commission announcing poll dates in 5 states. Cut across to our panelists this evening, Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, still with us, Shazia Ilmi and Adil Singh Boparoy. Shazia Ilmi, interesting, Chhattisgarh, Raman Singh, one never thought he'd be getting a ticket. He is contesting. We'll also getting in figures from Telangana as well. We're going to put the data out there. But Shazia Ilmi, the Prime Minister on the ticket in all 3 states at least where the Hindi heartland is concerned, but of course all 5 states going into election.
Yes, Preeti, I would just like to make a few comments based on what the previous speakers had spoken about. Firstly, I would like to ask my honorable opponent, Adil, that, he's talked about one-man show, two-man army, and the same breath he talks about all the senior leaders. Clearly, there's a contradiction there. There are so many senior leaders out there. Secondly, about the promises kept. Yes, promises have been kept in Rajasthan and in Chhattisgarh. The promise of corruption, Congress party for corruption, that promise indeed has been delivered. That is the promise that people identify Congress party with. As for tickets, as the learned analysts have spoken about, imagine the gumption and the valor of our party that in the most unwinnable seats, constituencies are considered unwinnable or were deemed so in the previous election. As the results tell you, we have put our best people there.
But Shazia, there are 2 ways of looking at it. One can also say before the final happens, field the MPs in a semi-final, har gaye, so you have a better option going into the finals. But Adil Singh Boparoy...
So that's one way of looking at it. But the fact of the matter is, can any party think of doing this? They would want to, and in fact, Mallikarjun Kharge said that in the parliament.
Another thing, Adil, what really one would have thought would happen is the Prime Minister in a rally in Telangana saying that the BRS wanted to join the Bharatiya Janata Party. Actually, that's advantage Congress. You should be glad that happened.
Well, there is enough evidence to indicate that the BRS is the B team of the BJP. And there is a sense of bonhomie between them. But I'll leave that for another discussion. The issue today here is, Preeti, that the BJP is a divided house. Mr. Raman Singh is a rejected leader who is neck deep in corruption. And as far as Rajasthan is concerned, you have a divided house. You have leaders like Ms. Vasundhara Raje Scindia. You have Chief Minister aspirants like Mr. Gajendra Shekhawat. Then you have other leaders such as the Law Minister, Mr. Megwal. So the BJP is a divided house when it comes to Rajasthan, and hence the desperation of the BJP. I see it differently. I see it as a sign of being rattled. Point number 2. Point number 3, it is surprising and ironical that the BJP is talking about corruption. Okay. They are the fountainhead of corruption.
Adil, there's a huge problem with your audio link. We're going to try and rectify that audio. But you're talking about, various leaders wanting to be CM and the factionalism in Rajasthan. Once again, what coming in by our local correspondents, they're all not quite well with the pilot Gehlot camp. Having said that, let me also quickly now bring in Amitabh Tiwari back into this conversation. Amitabh Tiwari, less than a month now, month and a half away from elections. We are full campaign mode. What would be the X factors that you'd be watching out for over the course of the next month and a half?
I think the X factor is going to be the mood of Janata. कौन से मूड में जनता वोट करने जा रही है? कौन से मूड में जाती है? आक्रोश या आशा? If you see the earlier polls, all the state governments are actually fighting with their back to the wall because there is a lot of local anti-incumbency against the incumbent governments as also against the incumbent local MLAs. The second factor is going to be economy. Economy sees the pain point today for the BJP because in all the states, unemployment, price rise, and corruption are the top 3 issues. So whether the voter goes and votes lured by the Congress party's 5 promises or by the promises and schemes of the state governments like Ladli Behna or the central government schemes is going to be keenly watched out for because economy is going to, I think, play the crucial role here. And all the governments are trying to lure the voter on the basis of schemes like even Ashok Gehlot on the basis of social welfare schemes. But what does this brings to the element is that it gives a tadka of class politics to caste politics. So the current Labhartis of the BJP's central government versus the future Labhartis of Congress's 5 guarantees. That is where the contest is.
Well, it's interesting because it's class politics versus caste politics versus Hindutva. So it's a three-edged sword there. Okay, Adil, your audio's fixed. Go ahead, make your point.
2-3 points here. Number one, we are going to the electorate on the strength of the efficiency of our welfare schemes. And what is critical when it comes to welfare schemes is last mile delivery. I think the Congress party, whether it is Rajasthan, whether it is Chhattisgarh, has demonstrated its mettle when it comes to the last mile delivery of services. Number one. Number two, we have a clear line of leadership. Unlike the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is a divided house, which is fighting amongst itself. Number three, the BJP is the fountainhead of corruption in this country. They are agents of the Adanis. Okay. So when the BJP points fingers at us...
Okay, I want to bring in Shazia Ilmi for a quick comment before we close and what we started off this conversation with Amitabh Tiwari. Shazia Ilmi, class versus caste...
10 seconds.
10 seconds, sir, quickly.
Number 4. My very esteemed colleague from the Bharatiya Janata Party has not responded on the BJP's blue-eyed...
Okay. I got the... that's the question I was asking Shazia Ilmi. Class versus caste plus Hindutva. Otherwise, what explains the fact that you have Ramesh Biduri, who used the crassest language in Parliament, made in charge of talk?
Prime Minister, blue-eyed MP.
Let him, please let her. No, allow the same grace. She heard you out. Allow her the same grace. Go ahead, Mr. Ilmi.
Opponent does not have much to say, which is why he wants to bring in something that we have discussed threadbare and many other occasions, because he knows that it's such a slippery slope he's on when we discuss the 5 elections and what has happened, whether it's Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh. If I start counting Madhya Pradesh itself, I mean, just look at, we talked about future Labhartis as compared to the present Labhartis. People have got something for the very first time. I'm not even talking about it not being a Bimaru state, becoming developed from all of that. The look of Madhya Pradesh has changed. So, I mean, 42 lakh homes, 84 crore
Shazia,
toilets, 84 lakh toilets.
But it's something you wear on your sleeve. Hindutva is a calling card. You're using it along with class politics.
87. So, see.
And if you look at Rajasthan, the way you've distributed tickets, caste as well. It's a heady mix of all three. Go ahead.
Preeti, we all have a part of politics. You cover it. I've covered it. I've been in it. So it is always like that. It is always this a variety, a veritable motley of these factors.
Okay, Mr. Tiwari wants to come in for 10 seconds. Mr. Tiwari, 10 seconds.
Class factor compared to, but something different has happened in the last 9 years.
But but Shazia, we still know nothing explains why Mr. Biduri is going to be made in charge of Tong, which he is. Mr. Tiwari, 10 seconds. Need to close the show.
Yeah, 10 seconds. One X factor which I missed is the women voter. The women voter outnumbers the men in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, and they are equal to the male voters in
Bang on.